Hey folks, Fernando doing a video for the Modern Survivalist, and in this video I'd like to talk about the explosive cocktail that you have right now in the United States, combining coronavirus with the only thing I can describe it as a Marxist revolt across the country. So I was talking with Matt Bracken this weekend. If you haven't seen the live stream, go watch it. It's worth your time for sure. Matt Bracken, for those of you that don't know who he is, he's the author of the Enemies trilogy and our books. This is one of the books. And he's also a former Navy SEAL, very well-informed person. I like talking with him, and he always has interesting thoughts to share. So one of the interesting things is that Matt Bracken wrote in his novel, he wrote about far left uprising, Marxism taking over the United States kind of situation many years ago. Very similar to what you're seeing right now. So what we were talking about was that, well, kind of thing you already know. The United States is not being waking up to how racist it is, or there's not really this is really not about race. This is not about racism. This is not about Black Lives Mattering. This is just about far left agenda finally finding the perfect moment for them to revolt and achieve what they couldn't achieve through a democratic process of actually winning elections. They are achieving it through violence. It's the oldest trick in the book. It's been around forever. It's certainly been very popular in South America, where I am from, since the 60s and 70s, during the Dirty War, where the far left tried to overthrow the government, and it ended up fighting with the military in a bloody mess. And you're starting to see a little bit of that. Now Trump is trying by all means to avoid making things worse. For better or worse, you know, he's definitely not handling it as well as I think he could, and you may have a different opinion on that or not. What I guess we are all in agreement with is you cannot have Marxism take over the United States. I think we can all agree on that. At least when I say we can all agree on that, I'm assuming that those of you watching me are somewhat conservatives, somewhat more center-right, maybe Republican, maybe Democrat, but not far left Marxist type of people, somewhat reasonable human beings, I assume. So I guess we can all agree that you don't overthrow the government, you don't destroy your own culture, you don't destroy your own monuments, your own history, you don't bring down statues, you don't destroy shops and homes, and you don't attack people because of their skin color. I'm just sort of baffled by how the mainstream media has so strongly supported all of this racism. And I mean, because a lot of this is horrible, despicable, terrible racism like you've never seen before in the United States. It's a matter of someone walking down the street and just being attacked because of him being white, and it's all applauded by the mainstream media, like, yeah, that's okay because he's white. That is how crazy we've gone, and how we've normalized the insane. If someone is being attacked because he's white, instead of that being condemned as horrible, despicable racism, that is, yeah, there's probably, because that man attacking him probably has some reason to be angry. If you had turned that upside down and it was some white guy attacking or killing someone because of his skin color, you would assume, that is the most horrible type of racism you could think of. Well, no. If it's a white guy that's being attacked and killed, that is okay. And there's probably a good reason, a good excuse for that happening. This is how crazy the world has become. And when I mean the world, I'm talking specifically about the United States. Don't let the mainstream media trick you into thinking this is happening all over the world, because it's not. It is happening in the United States. There's a little bit of this in UK, and specifically in London seems to be like the hot spot for this sort of thing. But you don't see the same levels of madness even over there. It is pretty upsetting to see some people that have really nothing to complain about, like the actor. I don't even remember his name, but the black guy from Star Wars, the actor, which is one of the lead actors in Star Wars, complaining about how he's been awfully rich and successful in the society he lives in. That's what he's complaining about. I just don't get it. And then there's this thing, and let me share a little tip. If you don't want to get killed by the police, if you don't want to get attacked by the police, then don't attack the police. Don't shoot at the police. Don't try to take away their weapons. Don't try to take their firearms and try to turn them against them. Don't do any of these things, and you'll most likely be just fine. This idea that the police in the United States is committing almost like a genocide, killing black people or minorities, it has no basis in reality whatsoever. If you look at the facts, there's maybe one incident in which an unarmed minority is gunned down by the police in the United States. And even if you look down into some of the details there, I can only think of one case in which, yeah, man, that is a big screw up. This woman that was shot through the window by an officer that was looking for a prowler and saw a woman with a gun and shot through a window. These kind of horrible tragedies can happen pretty much anywhere, right? But if you look at the actual numbers, they're not what they're telling. They're not what they're saying. This idea that the police in the United States is rampantly killing black people just doesn't. There's maybe 1-2 cases throughout the year since the last 5-10 years, and if you look into those, it was either someone that was high on drugs, actively attacking, beating, or trying to take away a firearm from the police officer. Now, I've been to the United States several times. I've lived in the United States. You know what? The way in which I achieved to not get killed by the police is not attacking them, not beating on them, not trying to take away their weapons. These are things that surprisingly have been very effective in me not getting killed by the police. And you probably should know this. A lot of people maybe don't because they've never traveled anywhere. But every time you go into or out of the United States, you have to go through customs. You present your passport, and usually there's a friendly officer that says, "Hello, had a nice flight? Yeah, sure. What are you here for? Whatever, business or traveling or whatever." Yes, you have like a normal ass human conversation with a person. You handle over the document he's asking for, and that's basically it. You could either do that or you could attack the officer like a lunatic, which will likely end up in you getting hurt. So you do what normal, sane, reasonable people do, which is just act like human beings and not attack one another for no reason, especially not a law enforcement officer. But this is how crazy things have gone. Then you have to combine this with the very real threat, the very real problem of coronavirus, which unfortunately has become very politicized, and it seems to be like if you're wearing a mask, you're a Democrat. If you're not wearing one, you're a conservative Republican. I think that's a shame because it's not acknowledging the real problem that we have. And when I say we have, it's pretty much all over the world. There's some people there that think that this is just all made up by the Democrats so as to hurt Trump. It is just not. It's simply not. It's a very real. Probably, yes, China has a lot to do with this. So better, instead of looking at the Democrats, look at China instead as someone to blame for all of this. But you have a very real problem. It is spreading. It is, you could say it's more or less deadly or whatnot. But the way in which it spreads, it is, it is very concerning to say the least. The way in which it affects people, and sure, you have a good chance of, if you're in good health, if you have a good immune system, you have a nice chance of getting through this without much problem. But we're still trying to learn the consequences left, and even for those that are in good health, you also have to keep in mind there's a lot of people that are not in tip-top physical condition and have certain health issues along with them, and they are particularly vulnerable, and there's a lot of people dying over this. This idea that, oh no, the numbers are inflated, no, that's really not. In fact, numbers are, if anything, they're downplayed by a big degree. there was a big scandal in Spain when the Association of Funeral Homes reported that according to their numbers, the actual people that died because of coronavirus is actually twice as much than the one that is officially being reported. And they go by a certain number that they have, which is pretty much constant throughout throughout time. It's like every month they get X amount of people dying, which is pretty stable in a somewhat stable country. All of a sudden they see those numbers go up a lot, and the number they see this the amount of debt going up is twice as much as the one reported by the government. At the same time, these are cases which are either confirmed or suspicious cases of coronavirus. So just going by the number alone of the anomaly of how many more deaths they're having from the average constant that they already know very well, that just says that the numbers are really not reflecting the truth. It's a lot more people dying over this than what's being reported. And the government said, yeah, well, it kind of could be. So they're not saying, no, it's not true. Guys, these are very concerning times. You have to be ready. You have to think for yourself, be smart. Don't let your thoughts, your actions be guided by any fanatic ideas, and realize that this is not about race. What you're seeing in the United States. Okay, so if you're going to be taking anything out of this video, be careful with the pandemic. It's still ongoing. It is still very much a real thing, and you should take all the precautions you can while trying to live your normal life. At some point, you will have to open up the economy. That doesn't mean you shouldn't take precautions yourself. If you are going to be in a crowded, populated environment where not the mass Democrats are telling you to wear, these cloth pieces of crap, wear an actual mask like the ones I often mention, the 3M respirators, or if you have something like this, even better. But if you're going to be going to a mall, well, not a mall, but a grocery store or somewhere like that, buying stuff, and you're going to be indoors with people that may be infected, take all the precautions while trying to live your life. At the same time, realize that what you're seeing is not about race. It's a Marxist uprising from the generation that you failed to detect in time. This has been festering, growing like a disease in your education system, and now you're seeing the results of that. That's why kind of like 80% of the people you see rioting, burning stuff, and tearing down monuments, it's like 70-80% of those are white people. It has nothing to do with race. It's all about the far left Marxists. Folks, have an awesome day. Remember, Matt's books are available in Amazon. I'll leave the links for these below. This is a great read. You definitely should check this out because it is happening right now. And also my own book, Street Survival Skills, which is very relevant for the level of violence you're seeing right now in the streets. So get this one as well. It's more than likely something you'll want to have and read. See you in our next video. Have an awesome day.